Well, Happy New Year. I've been seeing a lot of stuff where people are talking about gravel bikes, and I just wanted to take just a real quick minute to talk about them. You might wonder, is a gravel bike great for me? Well, that's kind of a big question. The good thing about gravel bikes is they take the best of both worlds, where you can go, and you see people talk about this all the time. You can do your road biking, but then you can also go off the beaten path. And the idea is to find, new places, to have bigger adventures, to, even have the same old places be a new experience. And that's good. But there's two basic questions that it all comes down to: is a gravel bike great for me? And this is what it comes down to. The first, are you okay with losing speed on the road? That's the first big issue. Um, I mean, obviously, if you have a gravel bike, you can switch out, tires, and that'll help a lot with your speed. Absolutely, I'm not downplaying that, but when that kind of can get a little bit expensive if you buy two different sets of rims and they're higher end rims and stuff. So there's that, and then two sets of tires. I mean, that's kind of a little bit you can do it. Yeah, you can totally do it, but it just kind of maybe run a little bit expensive. And then also you have the problem of having to switch your tires every time that you want to, see what I mean? And so it's just not really, for the average biker, just not really uh, plausible. It's just, so pretty much you're looking at a gravel bike where, are you okay with losing speed on the road? That's the basic thing. Anytime that you have a bigger tire or anything like that, you're not gonna go as fast. Um, I hate going slow on a road bike, especially one of the runs I do is like 70 miles or something like that. If I lose 5 miles per hour, just simply 3 to 5 miles per hour, which is what the average is of what people lose on a gravel bike on a road, uh, that would mean that in 3 hours, that's 15 miles I would lose. And that's a whole nother hour. So in other words, I would have to stay on the road an hour longer to do the same. See what I mean? That's just that's ooh, I don't like making that sacrifice. Maybe for some of you that might not be an issue. I don't know, whatever. One thing you can do is you can get well, I guess that's a discussion for another day. I hate losing speed on the road, but because of where I live, the roads are often a little bit bumpy. So what I do is I actually run Trek Dominays exclusively. I don't ride anything else. The reason why is because they're made to handle a little bit more bumps. I think they're technically might be considered a gravel bike, but I use them. Maybe they're a road gravel, like they can go either way. I think that that's how they market them. Like the gravel, it has the clearance for the gravel bike tires and stuff. And I don't know. Anyways, more of the story being, I think it fits a lot more comfortable than a regular road bike. They make it where the geometry of the bike isn't so attack. It gives you a little bit more of a relaxed feel, which I like. I'm not a serious, racer, so I stay more comfortable. But if I have a couple bumps, it's not the end of the world. Um, so I mean that's me. That's my speed. I don't do gravel bike because I don't like losing the speed on the road. Then the second question, if you are okay with losing speed on the road, your second question is, are you okay with being limited on your off road. See, the thing about gravel bikes is you can't go anywhere. I mean, technically, I guess you can. It's just going to be very bumpy. Gravel bikes don't have any suspension, so anytime that you hit a bump, you're going to feel everything. And I mean, that's okay if that's what you're okay with, but remember that that can get really uncomfortable really fast, especially if you're going like, 20, 30 miles in this bumpy gravel. That's really going to hurt. Now, you can do it. People have done it. It's just not my speed. Um, Gravel bikes are more meant for light off-road, light trails, not really intense things. So you would still have limited off-road activity. So gravel bikes tries to combine the best of both worlds, but in my opinion, it seems like all that a gravel bike does is reduces how much fun you have on either. Now, once again, this is basically, you want to be a generalist or a specialist. I specialize in road biking. I love it. The other biking is fun. It just doesn't compare to my level of enjoyment on a road bike. But for some other people, they might like the generalized feel of a gravel bike. You see people do the exact same thing with a mountain bike. They'll get a simple mountain bike and they'll ride on the road and they'll ride on the trail. And, that's great for them. And hey, that's fine. Uh, it's the same basic concept with a gravel bike. You'll probably go faster on a gravel bike than you will on a mountain bike, but it's the same basic concept. If you really want to do severe off-roading stuff, you're going to want to look into like maybe something with full suspension, which is going to be a little bit more expensive, but totally worth it. You can also ride a hardtail. If you don't know what a hardtail is, it's basically where they have the shock on the fork on the front over the front tire, the thing that goes up and down. But on the back, it doesn't have like any kind of a shock or brace, no suspension whatsoever. So on a hardtail, when you hit a bump, I mean, you really feel it, but I mean, obviously not as much as you would on a gravel bike. um, and so there are options that you can go to. What I do is if I'm ever going to hit a trail, I just stick on the trail and I take my mountain bike. If I am going to be on the road, I just stick to the road and I pre-plan my routes, and I have my road bike. That's what works for me. Some other people would disagree. Some other people have their own things that they want to do. You really just got to find out what's best for you. But those two basic questions, what it comes down to: are you okay with losing speed on the road, because you will with a gravel bike, and are you okay with the off-road bit that you do being light? I'm sorry, not off-world, off-road bit that you do being light off-road. So think more single track, not overly rocky, just kind of a smooth trail. Think more something along the lines of that. Um, yeah, and I mean, gravel bikes will do you fine. Really, they will. I know that Trek has a great gravel bike called a Checkpoint. Check it out. Hey, you might like it. It's just not my speed. It's not something that I enjoy. I know if you don't care about speed, you're okay with, you're going to spend a little more time on your bike to get the same distance. Hey, it might be great for you. If you're okay with just light off-road, hey, that's fine. Now, some places in America that you're going to live, a gravel bike will literally be one of the worst things. It'll be very frustrating. So, take these things into account, depending on where you live, where you're going to live, that kind of stuff. And then just keep those two questions in mind. A gravel bike is a big investment, so just remember those two questions. Are you okay with losing speed on the road? And are you okay with just limited off-road? So I hope that this helps. Happy New Year, guys.